Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and welcome to the final part 4 of my Alice junk journal. Today we'll be actually decorating the pages in the completed book that we put together in the last few videos. And this will kind of give you a little indication and show you a little bit of how I go about adding some different inserts and journaling ephemera into my journals. I'll be doing some more videos in depth on that as well, but I thought we'd just finish up this series with a couple of fun pages in this journal. So let's go ahead and get started. Now that we have all of our pages in and our signatures sewn into our binding, let's go ahead and add a couple of pockets and some decorative touches. So when I do a junk journal like this, generally I do add most of the pockets and things of that nature before I start writing in it. But as far as filling out the pages, you know, that's the whole point of journaling, is I just fill out the pages as I go. As this is going to be a tarot book for me, or a tarot deck book for me, as in I'm going to use it to record my study of the Queen Alice Tarot. I will be adding printouts of the cards in here, much like I did with my Nicoletta. But I probably won't do that on camera because, you know, you can kind of take a look at my Nicoletta journal to see how that ends up looking. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add a tuck spot right here. So I'll just show you a couple of different things that I do to add some just spaces and some ephemera and things of that nature. So I'm just going to kind of mark where that corner is, and I'm just going to, because my paper trimmer is not big enough for this huge piece of scrapbook paper, I'm just going to roughly cut it out and then I'll clean it up with my trimmer. So now I've made just this little slip of paper here, and basically you just glue it on the three sides to make a spot to tuck things into. Sometimes I round the corners, but since I'm not going to round the corners on this journal, that's another thing that you can do, and sometimes I do. It depends. This book has kind of square corners, so I'm not going to round the corners of the pages, but sometimes I just use my corner rounder the same as I use with my tarot decks when I mod them, and I will we're gonna go this way, and I will round the corners of all the pages. Yeah, let's go that way. So basically all we're gonna do is make sure I'm going the right way, and we're basically just gonna glue it on three sides so that we leave that one side open. And you want to get fairly close to the end here, because we don't want to, we want to make sure that we leave open space. If I could get it to line up, so that we can tuck something in there, right? So I'm just gonna press that down. Okay, so that makes a little tuck spot where we can, like, you know, tuck little cards or something in there like that. Or you could tuck, you know, tarot cards, a printout from a card. It just provides a pocket. I do kind of like this paper, so I didn't want to cover the whole thing up with like a big pocket and then shove a bunch of things in there, because I like this paper. I want to be able to see it. So by just making a little tuck spot here, we get a nice little area to tuck into without covering everything up. And you know, we could embellish it. We could add, like, you know, some lace here. That's the beautiful thing about the junk journal, is that you don't have to do it all at once, right? You can just add as you go. And this lace is very hard to work with in terms of gluing. So generally what I do is I just run, when you're working with lace, because your glue is going to seep through, I just run a bead of glue along whatever flat line I can find on lace, and I kind of allow that to work as an anchor point, and I try not to get it everywhere, and that's sometimes not easy to do. Now you want to make sure that you don't, I've got more this way, so I'm going to go this way and trim off that excess there. You want to make sure that you don't glue over your overhang, of course. So I'm just going to put that there. So And then at this point, I can start gluing these little frilly ends down. And I try not to use a ton of glue on lace because it's just going to seep through. So on these ones, I tend to just try to do a couple little dabs, and then I'm not pushing very hard because I don't want it to, again, seep through my lace. And there we go. So we have a nice little tuck spot right there to put some things in, and it's got that pretty lace accent under the pink, which just, I think, adds a little pop to this particular page. Again, these pages are pages that I'm going to be adding the cards to and scrapbooking on and journaling on. Where I do want to add some pockets is the center sections of each of my signatures. So this is where all of your sort of excess, extra pages and all the little portions that you clipped off from the inserts, you can just basically reuse those in other places. Like, I think these black and white flowers will be lovely here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make for this one a pocket on either side. You might make a pocket within a pocket with this extra red here. So basically to make a pocket, you're just going to make a square. So I just roughly measure. It does not have to be perfect. And I'm going to cut this away because I always like to cut from the straightest edge possible. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to basically measure out the same for the other side. So there is that, and then I'm just going to trim off these. I don't know that these edges are quite straight at the end, so I'm going to make both pockets. I'm going to use the measurements on my board and make them 3 inches. And that way I just make sure that that I am getting a fairly straight pocket. We are basically going to make sure they fit and then glue them in place. So now, because this is a really large book, larger than I normally make, my pages aren't laying quite as nicely as they normally do. And like I said 1,000 times, I didn't put enough pages in, but I can fix that later. So basically we're just going to repeat the same process as we did with the tuck spot, and we're just going to glue on the 3 sides. And then glue it in place. And I just always like to hold those corners down for a minute. Run along the sides. Wipe off any excess that overflows. If these middle seams bother you, you can always layer over them with paper or, you know, some ribbon. This ribbon wouldn't work very well, but you know, you could use some plain ribbon, and you could hide those if you wanted to. They actually don't really bother me much. So I usually just leave them as they are. If I were distressing this book, I would distress the threads, but I am not. So I think what we'll do is make a little heart pocket. I think we'll just go to this 3rd 2.5. Again, I'm going to make this one a pocket just because I am adding it for decoration, mostly, because I like that pop of red on there. But by just gluing in the 3 sides and not gluing the whole thing down, I do make it available to be used as a pocket should I decide I want to. So I tend to do that a lot in my junk journals because I like to have that flexibility of having those pockets should I need them. This top is looking a little plain. I do like this pop of black at the top, but I do think I want to incorporate some torn pieces in this book. For one, because I like the look of it, and two, because I think it just kind of works with the vibe of this journal and of the deck. So maybe we'll trim this one out in, try to make them at least somewhat line up here. I want to line things up. And what I'm going to do is just take a black marker and blend that in. So now it looks like it's one solid piece, but I'm not interfering with my binding there. Let's see, what do we think? I like that. I mean, of course, once you fill it in, you put stuff in there, it looks even prettier. Well, I do rather like that. So let's add another pocket here. So as you can probably tell, I am a fan of pockets in my journals. I like having lots of places to tuck things. Especially, you know, when I write a lot and I don't necessarily have a page for it, or if I'm somewhere else and I just jot something down on a piece of like notebook paper, then I can go ahead and include it in my journal. I can just tuck it into one of the pockets, and then that way I have it and I don't have to rewrite it. Because while I do that quite often, I don't always want to. I think we might add that there. And that gives us a little title place even. So if I wanted to make a note of whatever's in this pocket, I can write it right on here. Or maybe include a quote from one of the Alice stories. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. So this is the one that is not quite long enough. So maybe what we should do instead is extend it just so you can see how you do that. So I think this is going to be long enough. So I could measure, you know, get a ruler, measure, do it properly, but I just don't do that. I just don't do it. So I'm going to trim this. I mean, it doesn't matter that it doesn't quite cover it, because it's not like it's the outside of the book. It is part of the inside. But you know, just in case that did bother you, I figured we'll just go ahead and do it anyway. So what I'm gonna do, straighten this edge out because that edge is all kinds of wonky. So basically what I'm gonna do is fold this in half, and I just don't have enough space here. And this is pretty thick cardstock, so it's kind of hard to fold. My book just keeps wanting to open to that center portion. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to use this to make an extension. So I'm going to make sure my hearts are going the right way. Now you could actually leave one end or the other open and also make a small tuck spot, but I don't really need to make a tuck spot there, so. basically what I'm going to do is fill this thing with glue. And I'm going to work this in here until I get it about the right length that I want it. And then I'm going to press it down. And there we go. Now we've made an extension for that page, and it's now the correct size. Not that it really mattered much before, but you know, always handy. This area, because this paper is, I like it, but it's a little much. So I'm going to, and I liked these flowers down here, but of course I have the, all the copyright stuff down here, so I need to cover that up. And that one fits there nicely. And this one fits here nicely, so we are all good. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue these in. So for this journal, I'm actually not going to, I'm not going to do all the ephemera, as in all of the different elements that end up, you know, the bookmarks and the journaling cards and things of that nature. I'm not going to do that in this video because this video is already long, or this project is already pretty long. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments below, and maybe what I'll do is a separate video just on different types of ephemera that you can make for your journal. Just don't want to overload ya. Okay, so we have that there like that, and I've lost my black marker again, and I am just going to color this in. And I think maybe, do we want to add, calm it down and then add something really busy to it? I feel like this is a little blank though, and it needs a little something. And then I probably should have checked to make sure it was wide enough. Oh, it does just fit. So there you go. I did end up making a little tag anyway. Go figure. Go figure. Okay, so I had pockets there. I'm not seeing anything that really calls to me to be put on this particular page. It already has so much going on and stuff here, so maybe what we'll do is just make a tag, like a title spot. One there. I think I'm gonna do a smaller one here and maybe a bigger one on the other side, and I'm gonna round the corners. So maybe what we'll do is just, this looks a little plain, so I'm just gonna give it a border. So that leaves me room to either write something in there or maybe put one of those illustrations in there would be cool. Kind of looks like a prison, prison uniform, right? Might have to add some more things to that to make it a little less prison looking. I think this is really cool. So maybe we'll do just a little like collage-y thing on this one. I really don't want to cover too much of this up, but I think I kind of want a little like a little writing space, a little journal space. It's where I can journal on it with the white pen. think that would be cool. I don't want to go all the way to the end. So that will just make like a little journaling space that I can write with, you know, obviously using a white pen. Can't talk today. You know, a quote or just a journal entry, a short thought, you know, something along those lines. I like adding little touches like that, little places that I can journal. Oh, I was going to show you how you can turn these pages. Let's go like this one. I do want to show you that real quick, where you can take one of these pages and basically turn it into a journaling page. Okay, so this is just basically lined paper that I've pulled out, and I'm not going to do that there because I have lined paper here. So let me find another that's really blank. That has illustrations. Here, let's do it right here. So I'm gonna take this paper, and my glue just exploded. I've lost my paper towel. This is what happens when you try to work within a, what? 20 by 20 area. 20 by, not even 20 by 20. When you're trying to work within a very small space to stay on camera. So to turn just a page like this where you have just a bunch of writing, and you don't necessarily want to keep that writing, but you wanted the overall energy of it or the overall look of it aesthetically, you can still turn it into a journaling page by simply layering it with some paper that you can write on. So I don't actually want to cover up the whole section. And actually, I think I'm going to do it torn rather than cut, because I think that will add interest. But I'm going to use my ruler to cut it because I don't want to move back in the frame. I don't want to overcut, and I do want to keep some of those words. So I'm going to go here and here. And I want to go about here and about here. So what I'm going to do is put my scissors right there to hold my page. So I'm going to tear this off. Right about here. I want a box for the most part. I just don't want it to be perfectly straight. I like the torn edges. So thus the ruler helps you create that torn look while still controlling where your paper tears. So now we have this area around here that we can journal on. So like so, and then like so, and because it's Alice and everything is wonky, we're gonna off center it like that. Okay. And then we're going to offset it here. So we can still see the title at the top, and we can still see some of the words around, but now, and I didn't get it straight, so you know, that's actually very, very Alice of me. So now we've made journaling space on this page. We're still keeping the integrity or the energy of the page, and we still have some of the wonderful words coming out. But we have now a space here that we can journal and a space here that we can journal. I mean, just imagine if I had a printout of one of the cards, you know, I could put that down here in the bottom, and then I could journal about the card right here. Same with this. I could do the same thing here. I could cover up part of this with some more paper, you know, or down here like this to cover some of that up, and you can make journaling space where you would normally have these words, so you still can make use of the page, but you maintain that lovely illustration there. And of course, some of the pages, you know, I won't be journaling over. I just want to have them in the book as they are. But again, another one you could put, you know, maybe a black strip down here like this, and you could journal down here along the bottom of this one. And even though I said I wasn't going to do all this, apparently I am, and since that just really does look quite nice there, I'm gonna go ahead and do that one too. So we're just gonna cut that off. Having all that good Alice vibes in there, I'm gonna let those words show a little bit because I think that looks nice. You still get all of this lovely energy from the book and all these lovely pages, but you still are providing lots of journaling space for yourself. Like this page, I will probably go back in and add a nice big chunk of lined paper to that so that I can journal there. Or maybe that might be a good place to put a card, you know, a printout of a card. It seems like just gives you a really nice place that you can journal. You know, I could add some up here too and just maintain that illustration. Those just to give you some options. So we have this lovely page. And what I think I'm going to do now, because this video is getting super long, I am going to go ahead and clip this one off, and I'm going to glue it on here, and then we'll probably wrap things up. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave this as it is for now and kind of wrap up this this little tutorial. The main focus of this tutorial was really just the making of the book. I'll, of course, once I maybe get this filled out, I'll do a complete walkthrough of what I've got finished. Generally, you know, I might add some little tags here or there. But I think it came out really well. So let's do just a quick flip through. So we have our cover here. And then we have our inside pages. Then we have our sewn signatures in here. And you can see just the, you know, all the lovely goodness that I layered in here. I'm not going to flip through all of it. Here's the pockets that we've made. The belly band that we've made. Lots of lovely journaling spaces. Gorgeous full color illustrations. Great pages from the actual books. Lots of little pockets. And of course we have pockets, journaling spaces, pockets, journaling tags. All kinds of goodies in here. More gorgeous illustrations, and then this last illustration that we added in here, and to our end, and has our ribbon closure, which probably needs to be trimmed. And this is kind of hard to do from this angle, but so there you have it. So that is basically how I make a junk journal. Now, if you're interested in seeing more journaling process videos like this, maybe how I actually create pages or lay out pages, decorate pages, how I work in a journal like this, you know, how I would go about making the ephemera that goes in it. We kind of got a little bit of a peek at that with the pockets and the one little tag that I made. But anyway, if you'd like to see more of that, be sure to leave me a message in the comment below and let me know, and I will see what I can get together. Thank you for joining me for this Alice Junk Journal tutorial series. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them for me in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.